everyone. Welcome to this week's Karma Cards. So I'm trying to recall the messages that were coming through at this time. There's so many, and they keep pointing out that it's the perfect time to do internal work. So you're probably getting that message a lot from different sources, or you just feel like it's time to just go inside, literally go inside yourself. And spend time doing that. Another message that's coming through. They want me to talk about, that's my team. Hey team. They want me to talk about perspective again. By the way, I don't know if you know this. I want to tell you about this in case you didn't know. heartmathinstitute.org. Write that down if you've got pen and paper. heartmathinstitute.org. They are allowing people to take the HeartMath experience for free. This is usually a program that you pay for, but they're teaching you about heart coherence. And whether you're a pro at listening to your heart or if it's something new to you, it is worth signing up for it totally free and supporting that program. But they give you such good tools, and it's nice to have that reminder about how to get back into contact with your heart. Because I'm telling you, if you find yourself going through anxiety and stress and uncertainty, I guarantee you're stuck up here. That's where all that is, because this is all trying to figure it out, where the answers are down here. So one of the first exercises, I can do it with you right now. It's so quick and easy. It's a really easy exercise. So you can put your hand on your heart or just focus on your heart center. And what you do is you imagine you're breathing in and out through this center. So just take a second with me. And it's just regular, steady breath. But imagine you're breathing in and out through your heart. That's the first part. And now add to it, just imagine that all that information, all that tension, all of that awareness that's up in your head, I imagine it kind of traveling down the back of my head, down my neck, and into my heart. Just feel that for a second. Just imagine that flow of awareness moving from up in the head and traveling down in the heart. As you do this, you'll probably notice that the tension headaches, that the swelling or the feeling of intense pain in here is going away and getting lighter and lighter as you do that. So that's just a really quick heart coherence exercise. It's one of the things they teach in the HeartMath experience, and it's free. And I'm not an affiliate. I just love HeartMath. I love what they do. I think that it is the way forward. I think that this is how we move through into higher frequencies in this time, is to get into the heart. So if you want to check that out, it's heartmath.org. And you can sign up for free there. So it's such a cool tool, and I'm so excited that they're letting people use it for free, because they're seeing like, this is the time. This is the time to do this work. So the fact that they're putting that out there, I think is just super cool. And I wanted to let you know about that in case you have been interested or wanted to use their tools. They're out there. Yes, this Schuman Resonance is spiking. So the Schuman Resonance, I think it was last week or in the last 2 weeks, the Schuman Resonance has hit a spike, at different spikes of frequency. Now, the baseline of the Schuman Resonance, and that is, you can call it the heartbeat of the earth. It's the electromagnetic field of the earth, and it is measured. The Schuman Resonance is the measuring of that field. And its baseline frequency is 7.5 hertz. That's the Schuman Resonance baseline. And it jumps up and down all day long, every day. But lately it's been spiking, and it hit its second largest recorded spike since they've been recording it. And that was in the last 2 weeks, 140 hertz. That's like a person, 7.5 hertz is a person sound asleep. 140 hertz is like a person like maybe running intensely a marathon. I'm not sure like how much energy it is. It's beyond gamma. When gamma is that super high frequency state, that people can get into in meditation, that like professional monk level of meditation, is gamma, and it's way above gamma. So we're experiencing incoming frequencies like you cannot believe. It's coming through. And let's talk about some of these frequencies. That's actually a good topic to address. These come into the body. They come in, the sun sends in photonic energy, big waves of it. The earth receives that. It affects its electromagnetic field. So when photons come en masse and hit the earth, it goes right into the corona, the aurora borealis. Aurora borealis gets activated. They go to the poles and it creates this beautiful colors in the sky, but it's also being absorbed by the Earth's, atmosphere and electromagnetic field. And then the Earth absorbs that, sends it out. We're directly connected. Our electromagnetic fields are directly influenced and connected by the Earth's. So what the Earth gets, we get, and we feel it. And this process is in the body, and so many cool things happen. Like, for example, cellular memory upgrades, DNA upgrade and amplification, aura upgrade, like so many things coming online. Cellular memories getting released, meaning like who you were before you got here. All the memories of your ancestry getting released. A ton of stuff. Great, awesome things happening, but with it also comes aches and pains. It comes with kind of growing pains, if you will. So we get these energy and tension headaches. People have trouble sleeping. People feel pain in their body. It's almost like your joints hurt, but you don't know why. Different body flare-ups. Also the kundalini, right? The chills and the thing that happens as the energy is moving up through the body. All of that can be triggered by these high frequency spurts. On top of that, it has an effect on society, and it can look like chaos. People can get anxious. They can get edgy. They can get unsettled, if you will. I mean, that's the thing about this, all of this energy that's coming in. It is ultimately for our highest good that's coming in. And yet it breaks shit apart. The chaos precedes the next moment where the things really crack open. But you got to think about it like an egg getting cracked open. It's like we're like an egg getting cracked open, right? The expansion that's going to happen next is coming, but the first part is cracking that shell. When we crack the shell, it feels like something's breaking and falling apart. And if you go back to the metaphor of this time, the caterpillar in the chrysalis, the caterpillar has to completely liquefy before it becomes a butterfly. That looks like chaos. If we were to, take a poor little cocoon and crack that open, we get goo as well, right? It's going to look like a hot mess before it looks better. And people feel that, and they're reading it, and all of it's true. That's the thing that's really hard to grok, is that our brains really want to categorize and box things. I see this happening, therefore this is what the state of the world is. And it's not that. And that's why we've got to get out of the head and get into the heart, because the heart is able to access and understand more information as it comes in. It's able to access more information. It can process in a non-linear way. It can read the layers, if you will. The brain does not want to do that. The brain wants to box that shit up. It needs to. That's how it understands it, right? It wants to know details and facts about something, and wants to box it up and say, this is good, this is bad, this is hot, this is cold, this is boy, this is girl, this is that, this is future, this is past. It can't handle things coexisting at the same time, because that's the non-linear thinking. So when we're stuck in our head and we're watching chaos, we're like, OF, right? The world is like going to hell in a handbasket. That's what it can look like. When we see that, we freak out. We're freaking out from up here. When we get into the heart, we start to remember things. We start to remember what a cycle looks like. We start to understand that before true expansion comes the chaotic breakdown. It comes the breaking apart of that which no longer serves. We have to make room for something. So many things about nature can help you understand this time. Like if you sit and meditate on the life cycle of a butterfly, you understand this time. If you meditate on what it's like to become a parent, if that has been part of your life's journey, becoming a parent, you understand this time. There is so much beauty. There is so much more magic coming in, and yet something is chaotically breaking down. It has to, and it feels like it's falling apart or we're losing something when really we're letting go to create more. It kind of ties me into the other message I wanted to give before Karma Cards, which is about perspective. This one's kind of advanced and tricky. And it's something that I'm always like very cautious when I approach it, only out of respect for other people, because I feel so strongly that it is important to understand and know all perspectives. My team has always said to me that the goal here is not to find the right perspective. The goal here is to learn as much as you can about all perspectives so you can see the bigger picture. We're all given a piece of the puzzle as part of the game here on Earth, as you get your piece of the puzzle. And what we want to do, instead of saying, I've got the right piece, everybody look at my piece, this is the right piece, we have to understand it's a piece of a bigger puzzle and that everybody's holding one. And as we put them together, right, we're not, to listen or understand to someone else's perspective doesn't mean you have to agree with it or let go of your piece. It's about recognizing that everybody's holding on to something of value. Okay, so here's the metaphor that they gave me that helped me understand it the most. And it's powerful for me, and it's been a very healing metaphor for me at this time, and I would like to give it to you, and if it helps you, great. They said, imagine a room. See, like a big square room you're standing in. And now imagine that you are standing in the center of the room and look around. Just close your eyes, see yourself in a big room, look around, you're in the center. What does it look like? What's the distance from the center point to this corner and to the opposite corner? And now look behind you. How much room is around you? Imagine that this is your perspective in this room. And this is how you're assessing this space, right? This is me, that's the distance, that's how far away the wall is, right? Now what I want you to imagine is that tightly around you are people standing next to you in the center. They're really like hugging close to you, and this is your soul tribe. And they're standing with you in the center of the room, and you're like, we're here and the wall's over there. And they're like, for the most part, everyone's like, yeah, I see that. Now some are like, well, it's a little bit closer, and the other people on the other side, well, it's just a slight bit farther away, but you generally agree from where your perspective is, that's where the wall is, those are the corners, right? Okay, this is soul tribe. These are the people who get you. Like and notice how you're not really worried about the fact that they see it slightly different. It's like you're all kind of getting the same gist, and you can appreciate each other easily. Right? The perspective is easy to appreciate. So now fill the room with people in your mind's eye. And now see people tucked in corners of the room. See people pushed up against the wall in this room. Now you're telling everyone, hey, there's me, and there's so many feet between me and this wall. How are the people against the wall? Are they going to agree with that? Probably not. They're going to say, you're absolutely wrong. There is no room between me and the wall. There's no room between us and this wall. This wall is right behind us, right? And they're going to be adamant about that. And the more that we push back on each other, the angrier each of us gets, because you're not seeing what I see and you don't experience life the way I do. Anger, frustration, all the way to the point of bellicose action, to fighting. Now, who is right? who is right in this room? The person pressed up against a wall saying there's nothing behind me, or the person in the center saying there's so much space? They're both right. Absolutely right. That's the life we live right now. You can take any argument, any action, and you can put it in this metaphor and see that every perspective is a valid and true perspective for someone. So what we know, but what we can know, what we all share is that we're in the same room. It's really powerful when you think about that. We're in the same room. So I'm watching people in this time, right? And we've got people who are looking at things from the same perspective over here. There is no wall behind them. There is no space. This is what's happening, period. And that is their perspective, and it's true. Then there are people over here who are like, there's lots of space and options. There's a lot of different ways this can go. Also a valid perspective. And I'm watching some people fight with each other and turn this into a you're right, I'm wrong, or I'm right, you're wrong scenario where it's fighting perspective against perspective. Is that regardless of the perspective of what you see versus what I see, is that we all want to be safe. That is the truth. We all want to be safe. So I've been looking at people who hold vastly different perspectives. I've been watching people fight and pick people apart. And I've had to process that for myself and go, wow, what is driving someone to react in such a negative way to other information? And I recognize is they're fearing for their safety. This is fear about safety coming from everybody. We all want that so much. And so that's where I'm moving to. And when we understand that we all want the same thing, we want it in different ways, granted, but we all want to be safe. When we can get behind that thought, we can start having a shit ton of compassion for other people who hold different perspectives. And here's what I'm getting from my team is that I need to surrender how I believe I'm going to be safe. I do not need to, I don't have the how. I personally don't hold the answer to my safety other than my mental state and how I focus my energy. But I'm not coming up with a vaccine, or I'm not blocking anything. I'm not preventing others from getting to go to the hospital or sending people there. I have very little control over all of that that's breaking apart, right? All the things that people are fighting about. But I do know that I wish for my safety and I wish for the safety of others. So what I understand is that I need to surrender the how to a higher power, whatever it is you believe in, whether it's your higher self, whether it's God, the universe, source, infinite creator, whatever it is. I want something bigger than me to come up with that answer for safety. I want that. And I have to recognize that I have a personal way that I'd like to see that, a way that is comfortable from my perspective. I do. I have that. I think we all do. But what I'm going to do is trust that if I keep asking, if I keep focusing on the safety of all, right? On the safety of all, on the healing of all, on the true freedom of all, if that's my focus and that's what I surrender over to a higher power, then I am helping bring that in, and I can trust that it's going to come in. I can trust that. I can let go. I can stop fighting with that person who sees it so different from me, because I can go, they want to be safe too. And I want that for them. So I didn't come here with this like soapbox moment, and I know that I just got really intense. It's just that if somebody has the answer, why would I block that? And if someone has the best way, why would I block that? I definitely have a way that I'd like to see it play out, a way that feels comfortable for me. And I know other people have different feelings that are like directly opposing mine. And I recognize that these people do not wish me harm. They want to be safe. And my team is just lighting up like crazy right now. So much confirmation. So when I see someone presenting an opposing opinion, all I recognize right now is they wish to be safe, and I wish that for them too. Right? And I'm letting go of what it is that I need them to agree to. I have a perspective and it's valid, and they have a perspective that's valid, and we're standing in a room where we all want to be safe. And here's the thing. From my perspective, when I get into that heart coherent space, life becomes unlinear and things unfold in a way where it starts to get very mystical and trippy, right? Like it just, the way it's going to play out is beyond, I think, what we can comprehend. And this is where people who are still kind of stuck up in here, they get really uncomfortable when they hear it, because it's like, you're telling me multiple dimensions are going to unfold at once, and we're going to see this play out in many ways. And from a spiritual perspective, that's what I get. And that's why I can relax into this. And I go, you know what? I don't have to fight for my perspective. I see people getting what they truly want. So I keep encouraging people to focus on what you want. Focus on what you want, because you might just get it. Right? And recognize that anybody else sending things out at you, anybody else sending things out at you about pushing against your perspective, recognize that they really want to be safe, and they just feel out of control about it because they don't know how to get that. I just want to talk about what the things that I can't wait to get back to talking to is like the amazing things that you can do with your extrasensory perception. Like, this is where I want to go. But at this time, there's so much healing that needs happening, right? There's so much healing there's so much pain that's happening on a mental level. And before we can get into the amazing aspects of who you really are, like what kind of being you really are, we have to address this wall of pain that constantly needs healing. So that's why this keeps coming. Those of you who are listening to this, that it resonates for you, the message is for you to know that you're doing an awesome job. And my team's lighting up on that. You're doing an awesome job. Look, the empathic and highly sensitive people are processing a lot of stuff that's not theirs right now. And give me a thumbs up if you get that. I mean, you're processing fear for other people. You're processing anger. You're processing disbelief. You're processing sadness, despair, grief. All of this stuff is being processed. And what I mean by that is some of it's yours, but some of it you have agreed to do on an energetic level for the collective to help. Which means that you're going through days where like things get heavy fast. And it's almost like, where did that come from? Or you think of a person and suddenly like a ton of emotions come up, and they're not emotions connected to a memory of this person or necessarily the energy of this person. It's like they're holding that and you're helping process. So as highly sensitive, empathic people who are desiring to hold a high frequency and anchor the peace for everyone until they can catch up and process, just make sure that you do plenty of stuff for you to help you kind of take that coat off, like take your work clothes off, if you will, like an energy, meaning that make sure you're doing regular clearings. A clearing that I love is like calling forward all entities that need healing and wishing for them, calling your team, your spirit team, guides, angels, ascended masters, higher self, and source energy, and ask them to assist you in healing, forgiving, loving, uplifting, and enlightening all beings who need healing. And then ask them to escort them to that perfect place for them. And what you're doing when you do that is you're kind of like taking off the work coat, if you will. You're finishing the job, but you're also kind of clearing yourself energetically, and then just flood yourself with whatever light feels right for you. I tend to work with the pink golden light. That's the one that feels the best. I know some people love to work with a silvery white. Green is excellent for healing. Any color that's coming to you is that's the perfect one for you to work with. But it's almost like you're taking an energy bath. You're just cleansing it all off, and then seal your own aura. I like to use the crystalline energy bubble. What you imagine is your aura bubble, right? That bubble of light. I see this beautiful, thick layer of crystalline energy going around that bubble. And what it does is it allows you to continue to radiate beautiful light, but it puts a nice barrier between your energy and the outside world. And that just gives you a place to kind of feel yourself again, be in your own energy space. Because just like everybody else who goes to work and comes home, they need to decompress. So do energy workers. So do empaths and highly intuitive people. You need your time to decompress. So that's one of the ways that you can do that for yourself. And thank you. Thank you for holding that frequency. Thank you for being a grounded, loving, compassionate source of light. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you beyond words. And it's good to have you here. It's so good to have you here. All right, my loves, let's do karma cards. Let's do this right now. I'm interested to hear what this message is. For those who are new to karma cards, let me tell you how it works. We have got the planets, the signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. 3 decks here. And I've already asked my team, what is the message of this time? And I'm asking them, when does this go till? And they said it goes till the 30th. So today until the end of the month. This is the message. Okay. So we've got 2 sets of answers, and this is how you play. There are action answers in red and outcome answers in blue. I read across the cards, and sometimes cryptic messages come up, and I decipher those for you. And the way you play is you just decide what you need right now. Do you need an action-related answer? And if you do, type in red. If you want an outcome-related answer for this time period, type in blue. And a lot of people will type in both, and you can absolutely, they work really well together. So if you want to use both, go for it. All right, so while you're choosing either red for action, blue for outcome, or both, let me tell you the flavor of this reading. It's very much about communication and self-expression, which is kind of interesting based on what came up earlier. We have the planet Mercury, planet of communication, self-expression, and the mind, by the way. And this is specifically the societal mind, which is really interesting. In the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio being the sign of the psychic and mystic. It's a very intense sign, and it's all about the deep dig. It wants to get beneath. It's all about truth and getting down to the layers of truth, right? Scorpio is not afraid to get uncomfortable at all. My son is a Scorpio, and he likes to push buttons. Okay, and in the 3rd house, this is interesting because Mercury, or excuse me, Gemini rules the 3rd house, but Gemini is ruled by Mercury. And the 3rd house is the house of communication and self-expression. So do you see we've got like double with this dose of truth in here. So we'll see what it's gonna get at here in a second. So for those who are choosing red or action, your spiritual action at this time is to communicate the extraordinary power of prayer by making the right connections. Okay, the first thing I get from the team about this is they're like, remember how you said you are surrendering this to a higher power? Connect to that, right? So communicate the extraordinary power of prayer by making the right connections is talking about what part of you are you communicating from? And this is where we get into a very prominent symbol at this time, which is the triquetra, the Celtic knot that looks like kind of like a triangle with the 3 points. I need a picture of it. I don't have a picture. Triquetra. And it's you'll recognize it instantly. Very famous Celtic symbol, but it represents the divine Trinity, body, mind, spirit. Father, Son, Holy Ghost, Mother, Father, Child, like the physical self, the mental self, the higher self, all of these things, right? All 3 pieces. So we're asking to be, to focus on what we're communicating from. and the extraordinary power of prayer. So from the human physical experience, from the, what I like to call it as like the hero experience, meaning hero of the story, we're in the story and like whoosh, things are coming at me. Oh my God. This experience is limited to what's happening on this plane, and it can feel pretty rough right now, right? The observer self is the one watching that movie or reading that book and writing, and also writing that story. So it's watching and observing what's happening. The higher self is the one with the bird's eye view of everything, of the reason why we're writing this story. So it's asking us to communicate the extraordinary power of prayer by making the right connections. I feel like part of it is connect those three pieces together and learn about why you're in this story, who wrote this story, and why. And it's going to help you understand like what you're asking for and bring it in a stronger way. Mental action at this time. Analyze the highest and lowest aspects of the idea in question. Okay, so this can apply to anything that you're currently pondering, but for the sake of this recording, I'm going to connect it back to perspectives. Analyze the highest and lowest aspects of the idea in question, which means we're sitting down and we're kind of breaking apart the whole room, the box scenario with all the different perspectives. The highest and lowest, what happens at the lowest level of perspective? Well, we fight with each other, and we create an elite structure where one person is right and everyone else is wrong, right? That's the lowest aspect. What's the highest aspect? We recognize that everyone's holding a piece of the puzzle, and the name of the game is to collect as many puzzle pieces by trying to understand. We don't have to adopt anybody else's POV. We just want to hear about it. And that's the highest level of the idea in question. So it's kind of like, look at everything and see that there's a spectrum. There's never just one way of being. There's like a multitude always available on any situation, any question. All right, the physical action at this time. Let your mind tell you how to control the situation and get your idea going. Let your mind tell you how to control the situation and get your idea going. Okay, so in this instance, they're talking about let's go back to the triquetra. We've got the hero self in the story, the observer self, in mind, body, spirit. And if you break it down like that, instead of hero, observer, higher self, you could call it mind, body, spirit. So in the body is the hero, the mind is the observer. Let your mind tell you how to control the situation. Let the observer part of you tell you how to control the situation and get your ideas going. Meaning that the observer part, remember, is also the writer of the story. Writer, director, however you want to see it. It's in charge. It's writing what's happening to you, but not the body, not the physical experience, but the observation of it. So when we feel out of control, we have to step back and look at what's the story I believe here? What's the story I think I'm in? What do I think is happening to me? Right? And then we have to step back and observe that from a detached place emotionally, and like we go, oh, I think I'm a victim. Oh, I think life is happening to me. Right? And then from there, we can then regain some sense of control by how we're choosing to perceive it. And then from there, you get new ideas going. So again, sometimes easier said than done, but a really powerful place to understand where actual control is in the situation. It's not in the manipulation of the environment. It's how you're viewing that environment. It's a big one. Sorry, I got so thrown off. Quarantine. Okay. So for those choosing blue or outcome, or both for outcome, in Mercury and Scorpio in the third house of communication, your spiritual outcome at this time is the awareness of purification to resurrect your ideas. The awareness of purification to resurrect your ideas. That this is going directly to the observer self, the one who can see life and create it who is observing, how am I viewing all of this? What is my perspective? What am I telling myself is happening at this time? So awareness of that part, it creates purification to resurrect your ideas, meaning that at some point you'll wake up and go, wait a minute, if I am that creator being Therese keeps talking about, I have the power to generate my ideas about what's happening here. It's tricky, especially if you're identifying from external world has control over me versus I have control over the external world, right? You really have to move into that perspective where you start to understand that this thing that we're calling life is a reflection. It's a mirror world, right? And this is something I'll get into deeper with you at another point. But once you understand that all you're looking at is really a reflection of you, you suddenly realize where all your power is. And life becomes very exciting. And the world starts shifting because you shift. It's where all the mysticism of life is. I cannot wait to talk more about that. But just understand that all you have to do right now, there's another part of me that's watching this whole thing. There's another part of me that's telling me a story about what's happening. Awareness of that creates this awakening, if you will. All right, the mental outcome at this time. Many thoughts from or about the secrets of short-term thinking and trips. Short-term thinking and trips is always throws me off when this card says that, but let's do this again. Many thoughts about or from the secrets of short-term thinking and trips. Okay, so what they're saying here is that a lot of our attention is being pulled to the short-term outlook. What's going to happen next? Because we're in this uncertainty cocoon period that is designed to help us grow from the spiritual perspective. But that's the thing that's pulling you away from the creator being you are, is like, you're like, okay, I can create my reality. Okay, I can see this differently, but what's going to happen next? Like, and we get pulled by that. Everybody is. Again, so with Gemini, whenever you get Gemini or Mercury coming in, the thoughts move like this with Mercury. Mercury is thinking like a multitasker, if you will. And it makes me think about, I used to just love the fact that I'm an awesome multitasker. And the more I grow and the more I understand about how to be successful in achieving your dreams, the more I realize that multitasking keeps you like a hamster in a wheel. Meaning like your mind is not focused on the one thing. Your mind's like, and then this, and then that, and that. And that's what this time period is giving us, is sort of the hamster in a wheel thing. Unless you can hone your focus, hone it through meditation, hone it through art, hone it through working out, hone it through picking one thing to focus on for a little while and staying with it and watching what happens as you continue to bring your awareness to something, whether it's your children, whether it's a book, whether it's something you're studying. If you can hone your focus, you move a lot further down the line. What it's saying is kind of the challenge of this time right now is that there's just a lot going on. And right now, just be okay with that. That's natural. Everybody's doing it. But as much as you can, go back to the direction that you want to see things going. Go back to focusing on the peace, the healing, the calm during this time of, again, a lot of mental activity. The physical outcome at this time, many words resulting from the power of who you are and what is around you. Yes, mindfulness is a wonderful skill. Okay, I'll say it again. Physical outcome, many words resulting from the power of who you are and what is around you. So the beauty of this time is that it is very fruitful. It's a very fertile time, meaning like as you can pull your focus more steadily in one direction for just a little bit, so much information, so many ahas, So many messages coming through. And remember the atmospheric, the earth's energy is ramping up. So much inside of you is coming up to release, to tell you things about yourself. I've had people message me telling me that they're remembering things about their childhood, the things they knew as a child that kind of got stored away. It's coming back. Coming back. If you could see all the messages I get about people who remember talking to other beings, fairies, aliens, angels, deceased loved ones, you name it, I've heard it. And what's amazing is, like, I remember is the key phrase. I remember. So the beauty is, with this mindful focus, the more that we come back to it, the more comes up in you. There's so much waiting to unpack in you. There are so many gifts right now of being asked to pay attention. Just pay attention to what you're thinking. Pay attention to how you're thinking. Pay attention to where your energy is hanging out in your body. Right? It sounds easy. Sometimes it's hard, but even a little bit of this effort is yielding massive results for people. Even a little bit. So there are so many gifts waiting to unpack right now. That it's important that you curate your focus. Just pay attention to what you give energy to, and how much do they deserve of your energy? How much does anybody else deserve of that right now? Give it to those who truly deserve it, and give plenty to yourself, because this is a healing time. And this is the time of the awakening. And the next part is going to blow your mind in the best ways. Right? And I say that with this deep, like, as I said it, it's like my whole spine just like tingles. It's like, yes. So a little bit of effort, a little bit of focus yields big results right now. All right. I love you so much. Thank you for spending time with me. Thank you for being here. It is always a pleasure to be with you. I hope this gives you something to focus on with positive energy, and I'll be back soon. Thank you for watching. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell so that you know the next time I release a new video. Until then, stay magical.